Yeah, man. Oregon, Washington, that's going to be – it's the rematch everybody's been waiting for. Bo Nix he's playing for that Heisman. He's the odds-on favorite right now to win it. I don't necessarily know if he should win it, but he's the odds-on favorite nonetheless. Earlier in the season, they lost that game to Washington. They had a chance to win it with a field goal, missed it. Had a chance to tie it with a field goal, missed it. So they're looking for redemption there. I think they get it personally. I don't know if Washington can beat Oregon twice. I don't think they probably should have beat them the first time. What's your take?
There was a lot of they weren't outplayed, but they were outcoached. There were a couple like fourth down, go for it situations
Yeah.
throughout the whole game that Oregon did. It just didn't work out, and I think that's why they're giving Oregon the 9.5. Because if a couple plays went differently, then the ending itself was different. And Oregon's definitely improved as the season's gone along, and Washington has either they plateaued early on or they've slowly gone down. So 9.5 is a lot, but I think Oregon covers them.
Yeah, look, in that first matchup, Bo Nix, he had 337 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Penix Jr. had 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. So not necessarily a lopsided game, a very equal game from both quarterbacks, but in different ways. Bo Nix threw for more yards. Michael Penix Jr. threw for more touchdowns. He also had an interception. That Oregon defense is something serious. I think they're going to come into this game with a little different scheme this time. I don't know if I can count on Washington's defense to make the plays on third down or the big plays in certain situations on third and long. I don't know if we can count on them to, consistently make those plays and get it done over the course of an entire game a second time.
Yeah, I completely agree. You're going to have to lean heavy on Penix to kind of be perfect every drive. And I think if he's not, then they can be punished on the other side of the ball with Bo Nix.
Yeah, and look, another aspect of that Washington offense, obviously you have Roma Dunze, Biletnikoff finalist. But you go back to that Oregon-Washington game the first time they met, Dylan Johnson had a 100-yard day. So that is likely going to be an avenue they try to play with. See how much clock they can control, keep the ball out of Oregon's hands. Look, when you have an explosive offense like Washington's, you don't want to slow yourself down and remove the momentum from yourself. But you want to keep the ball in your hands as much as you possibly can. So I'm interested to see what they do with Dylan Johnson, how they approach the run game, and how they blend that with Michael Penix Jr. in the passing game as well.
Agreed.
So
I
who
really
wins?
have much to add. That was great. Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to hear you say that and to have to agree with you because I do think Oregon wins. But like I said, man, preseason, I took Washington to win the Pac-12 and go to the playoff. And look, there's a very clear avenue for that to happen. I just did not anticipate them having to play Oregon twice. I thought that Oregon was going to be a better team, but Washington would find themselves undefeated and in the playoff. I pretty much nailed that all the way down to this week. So we'll see what happens. But I do think Oregon is the much better or the much more complete team. I saw a stat. Or at least I saw a metric where Washington was listed as the luckiest team in college football. And I don't know. Now, hear me out. I don't know what all goes into that metric, but that same metric had TCU at this time last year as the luckiest team in college football. And we saw how that played out in the championship. I don't think there's a ton of weight behind that, but I find it very interesting. Washington hasn't played a crazy difficult schedule. The best game they played this year was against Oregon, or the best opponent they played this year was against Oregon. And they had a couple things fall their way that worked out for them, at the end of the game. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see, just so I can be right, I would love for Washington to win this game, but I think Oregon's going to win it. There's a reason they're a 9.5-point favorite.
Yep. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, too.
Yeah. Unless you have to be lucky twice. That's tricky.
That's the issue. It's hard to beat a good team twice.
Yeah.